You're gonna be just fine.
I just talk. I just talk.
Listen to them, children of the night.
Sic transit gloria.
Thrill me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Kill the Cast. My name is Jerry, and joining me is the ever-quotable Jay.
Something happens to you when you leave this town. The farther away, the hazier it all gets. But me, I never left. I remember all of it.
Damn. And the Silent Hill biker himself, Kenneth.
Hello out there and the internet, whatever.
Fucking people on the internet. We are throwing this bonus episode out for It Chapter 2. This is a full spoiler review. We all saw it this weekend, each one time. So we are going to give our overall thoughts, specific things we liked, things we didn't like, maybe some changes from the book, changes from the previous movie, blah, 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 all that good stuff. So we are going to get into that. But first, of course, we have to go. Jay, how you been?
Good. I moved. I don't know if I mentioned that in the last episode. So I'm in a new place now. That was the biggest thing, I guess. But other than that, I'm good.
Awesome. Kenneth, how you been?
I've been all right. I've been seeing a lot more movies recently than I normally used to. Hell, I've been pretty much at the movie theater damn near every weekend.
Hell yeah.
Nice. As for me, I am doing good. I have dropped 2 brand new shows. That's Atomic Age Saucercast and Cult Unknown, so please go check that out if you have not. Atomic Age Saucercast is about, 1950 science fiction movie, and Cult Unknown is about cryptozoology, paranormal, supernatural, occult, and all that good shit. First episode is about Bigfoot, and it's a lot of fun. So with that being said, we are about to talk about It Chapter 2. Now, the previous movie, both Jay and I were really, really high on. Kenneth, you weren't. Do you want to give a brief explanation of that?
I felt like there was a lot of character changes that I didn't really care for. Very far removed from the source material. I didn't like the pacing. I felt like it was too fast. There was just too much shit going on, and I just didn't feel fulfilled when I got done watching the movie. I just really didn't care for it. I think the best thing about it was the acting of the kids in the first one, but the way things were changed, it was always Mike that was the one that was the keeper of everything, and in the first one it didn't put him as that. And there were other key things that I think were left out. I feel like that Mike's character was really, really. He didn't in the first one. They didn't spend a whole lot of time on him, and hell, I felt that way kind of in the second one. But overall, I mean, there were just things that I didn't like about it, things that should have been focused on that weren't, and I thought it was really, really just too much shit crammed into a short amount of time.
All right, and now that you literally just got out of the theater from seeing the movie, I went and saw it Friday. Jay, when did you go see it?
Yesterday.
Okay.
Last night.
Saturday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Kenneth, we'll start with you since you are the freshest. What'd you think?
And the most knowledgeable.
And the most knowledgeable on the subject. What did you think?
I really enjoyed the second one. I really did. I was not disappointed at all. The changes that were made from the source material were not as drastic, except for close to the ending. Because there was a lot of the shit about the turtle that I really wish they'd hit on that a little more, but they threw a nod in this one as well towards the turtle. But overall, I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed the new one. That whole scene at the beginning of it, where you got the bigots fucking throwing the guy over the bridge. That was straight out of the book. That whole
was
sequence.
It a gay guy in the book, or was it a black dude?
There was a gay guy in the book.
Yeah,
okay.
in the book, that scene would take place in the 80s, and they did that. And I told Jay, I was like, that was so fucking brutal. The movie never gets that brutal again, but they open with this gut punch of just brutal.
And if I'm not mistaken, that starts another segment of the book. Like that is at the beginning of because you know how a lot of times how books are in parts, especially one as big as it. I think that whole story starts a different part of the book. But sorry, excuse me. But overall, I love that, and like I said, that was everything about that scene. That whole little segment of the movie was damn near word for word. The fact that they were at a carnival, the fact that he won well, actually in the book he won the hat, if I'm not mistaken. But him wearing the hat, him getting the couple getting approached by the idiots, getting thrown over the bridge, all the balloons coming out from underneath the bridge, and also him getting bit in the armpit by it. All of that stuff was directly out of it. Exactly. Nice. I mean, and when I was watching it, I was like, I was really, really happy with that. And there's other things that were directly out of it. They were directly out of the book that I'm glad that they threw nods in there too.
Nice. All right, Jay, what did you think?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I had only one complaint, but it didn't even bother me because the resulting imagery was really nice. But my one complaint really is that I feel like the first movie was way better with building tension before having an in-your-face thing, and this one used a lot more jump scares. But the imagery that came from those jump scares, like the different monsters, the different forms that it took and used to scare the kids, I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah, I loved this movie. A complaint I actually have for like the Conjuring series and a lot of the James Wan series is that the CGI monsters in them look very cartoonish, and I don't like it. But in this movie, the CGI monsters also look cartoonish, but I'm way more accepting of it because I see it as the extension of Pennywise, and I'm like, that's Pennywise's character. He would do that kind of stuff. That's what he does. And so it was nice to have that complaint I would normally have get turned around on me.
One of the things that I liked about it in this one is for Pennywise himself, even though I agree with you on that, is the fact that Pennywise was not childlike in this one.
The only time he's childlike in this one is one of the best scenes in the movie.
The pedo Penny.
Yeah, pedo Penny, when he's manipulating. He's using great predatory manipulation of this girl who has a birthmark.
The bleachers?
Yes, she has a birthmark on her face, and he uses like spot on pedophile predatory things to get this girl, and it is fucking great. Like, that scene is so fucking good. Like, that is a scene I would show a kid to be like, when they say things like this, they don't mean it. They are using what they know about you against you. That no matter what they say, you cannot believe them. And oh my god, that scene is so fucking good. So my actual complaint from the movie actually deals with the Richie and his dirty little secret. I really like that Richie is gay in this movie. My only problem is I felt like they dropped the ball, that he should have revealed it to his friends, and he just kind of didn't. It kind of like I just felt like that should have been a bigger thing, and like especially with Eddie dying, it should have been a fucking much bigger scene than him just crying in the river, his friends holding him, and then him going and like carving the E on the bridge. I agree with you on that, because I think that had that been given more fucking just strength, that would have added to, like, had he told his friends that, like when they were down there fighting or something like that, that would have brought the strength together at some point in time. And it also plays super well with how much Richie makes fun of Eddie, and why Eddie is like the one he almost always makes fun of. It is great. The flashbacks in this movie are really good. I know some people said there's too many. I don't really feel like that, but there is one flashback I do kind of have a problem with. Only because I felt like this flashback should have been in the other movie, because it would have fixed a big complaint that both Kenneth and I had. They have a flashback where Ben, the fat kid, builds them a clubhouse underground. I feel like this should have been in the first movie, because it should have been Ben doing his architect shit, and that would have been him contributing to everyone instead of him being the historian. That way, we could have actually had the proper historian be the historian. Mm-hmm. I just felt like it was kind of weird that they had this clubhouse built that they do not talk about in the first movie. I just thought that was really weird, because almost everybody else's flashbacks makes a lot of sense.
I think the only reason why they may not is because I think dude that made the movie may have been on the fence about whether he was going to include the clubhouse or not. I wish from the book that's one of the things that they left out was when Richie and Mike have that where they smoke out the damn clubhouse.
Oh yeah.
But in the movie you got Mike going and hanging out with the natives, but in the book they do this thing where they're all in there, and who can stand it and who can't. And if I'm not mistaken, it was Mike and Richie that were the last ones, and that's actually that's where they discover where it came from and stuff like that. And I wish that they had went that way about it, because that was probably one of my biggest complaints about this one, is that this whole ritual of Chud thing didn't get what it deserved versus the book. And I did not like the way they did that. I also did not like the way that they portrayed Mike to be like a crazy person. You know what I'm saying? I really didn't like that. I mean, and that's the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying when I think that Mike doesn't get what Mike should get. Like in the first movie, he doesn't get, the relevance that he should have as being the historian. And this one, he gets the historian part, but they make him out like he's fucking a crazy idiot. And then on top of that, if you really think about it, you really don't see a whole lot of Mike in this movie. You see him at the beginning, a little bit when he's calling everybody, and then he kind of disappears again. And then you see him again when they're all together, and then he kind of disappears again. And then you see him again at the end of it when he's fucking, trying to do the ritual and everything. And they make him out to be like this crazy liar. I didn't like untrustworthy. I really don't like the way that they did Mike Hanlon's character in either movie.
Yeah, I would say that is definitely one of the biggest downfalls is how Mike's character just gets screwed out of what he's supposed to be.
Right. Because he's supposed to be a much stronger character. Just like I think fucking Henry Bowers got fucking screwed also.
Yeah, I'm fine with Henry in the movie, but it did feel kind of, I don't know, I feel like he didn't really do all that much in this movie, like.
Right, but that's another thing, from the source material, because Henry Bowers was a much, much bigger character, and he had a lot more influence in the book than he did in either movie. But the thing about it is from the 90s movie, he had a lot of influence in the 90s movies. Henry Bowers was a big character in the 90s movie, and he's also a big character in the book, but in this, he's really not. He's just kind of there. Like there's a whole lot more to how he gets out of the asylum in the book. And I'm still irritated from the first movie on this. This is another thing that really bothered me, is that Patrick Hockstetter is the kid with the flame in the first one, and he's also the corpse that's driving the car in the second one. Well, in the book, that was Belch that did all that. Not had the flame, but Belch was the one that drove the car. Belch was Henry Bowers' best friend.
It's very interesting that they switched those around. I'm not really sure why they did.
Yeah, it feels like some of the switching was unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand that. You know what I'm saying? Because you get a little bit of Belch in the first one, but me and Jerry, you and I have talked about the fact that there's actually a deleted scene where Henry kills his two other buddies also after he kills his dad. But
yeah.
But they leave that out in the theatrical. But yeah, I mean, Patrick Hockstetter was not really as big of a character. I mean, he had his own story of everything that went on in the book, but he was not as much of a bigger character as they put him in this. And that was another one of those things that kind of bothered me, because I think Henry Bowers needed more.
Not having the book to compare it to, I felt like they handled that part as far as the movie's concerned just fine.
I did feel like I've read like 100 pages of the book, and that's about it. But I still feel like Henry didn't do as much as this movie. One thing I've come up with as I've thought about this movie is I kind of realized, character-wise, the adult characters do not go like as fleshed out in this one because of how many flashbacks we get.
Right.
That I feel like a lot of the adult characters kind of jump a lot. There's a lot of just jumping development. Like Eddie's character in this movie, he mostly just is scared and says "fuck you" a lot. Like that's most of what he does in this movie.
And he definitely married his mom.
Yeah, he married his mom, which is good.
But see, that goes back into little details that actually is really good from the source material. Like in the book, that's exactly the way it was. He married a woman that was exactly like his mom.
Yeah,
That
and
was
in the
exactly
book, he
the way
was
it
the one that was kind of the closeted gay.
Yeah, kind of. But he ended up marrying a woman that was just like his mom. He, Ben Hanscom Haystack. That was exactly the way it was in the book. When he got older, he slimmed down. He was known to be very attractive, and he made a very, very lucrative fucking business out of being a damn architect.
Oh,
that
fun
was
fact!
100%.
In the architect meeting, the guy that is standing up, the chubby guy standing up, that is the same actor who played Ben as a kid in the '90s miniseries.
Oh, nice.
Which is funny. I didn't know that until after I watched the movie. But when I was watching the movie, and during that scene, I was like, "Wait, they didn't skinny down Ben? What the fuck is this?"
Yeah,
and,
I thought.
and then it showed the actual Ben, and I was like, "Oh, okay, they did. Cool." And then I actually found out today because I think Abraham Ram, the Ram Man, shared the article, and I read it, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's so funny!" Because I kind of thought that was Ben. And like also on the love triangle, they kind of sidelined the love triangle quite a bit. It's there. It feels like, but it's a lot of just like Ben staring at people.
Right. Yeah, it was much more predominant, and even in the '90s, it was much more predominant in the book in the '90s series. I liked it. I thought it was cool. I figured I wish there had been more to it.
I'm kind of okay with it.
There's another detail. Oh yeah, fucking Stephen King's cameo. I thought was great.
Oh my
That
god,
was
the
fantastic.
ongoing joke about Bill not being able to write a good ending was
So
fucking
funny.
great because so many people complain about that with Stephen King. It's so funny.
Yeah,
I-
that was a good in joke. I laughed a lot.
I fucking just adored that.
And to me, that was my favorite out of all of Stephen King's cameos. That one was my favorite.
Yeah. You know what I did find weird is that the fact that we didn't get Bill's wife towards the end of the movie.
Yeah.
That threw me the fuck off. That
Oh, you know what? You know what else really threw me off, man? When at first they made it out like fucking Bev's old man was not gonna be abusive.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
And then he's like out of nowhere just fucking flips.
Oh,
Yeah, I
trust
was
you,
like,
bitch.
yeah, because when I was sitting there watching it, I was just like, no fucking way, you can't change that. And I was just like, and then after he flipped, I was just like, I bet he throws that shit in there just to piss people off like me.
Oh my, I can see Kenneth just raging in the fucking theater.
It's the same thing with the fat guy at the fucking board meeting. I was like, oh no.
Wait. So you thought that was Ben also?
Yeah, I did. I was
Why?
like, I was pissed
And-
at first.
and-
I was like, no.
And y'all did not know that was the actor who played little kid Ben in the
No,
90s.
I just
I
assumed.
recognized him. I didn't realize it at first, and I should have because I fucking met the dude in person. Damn. But I recognized him, and I was just like, he looks really familiar. But then I was enraged by the fact that I thought that that they were gonna make him fat as an adult, and I was enraged by that. And I was just like, no fucking way, you know.
You know what's
And like,
funny?
what?
Is I thought that it was Ben too, even though I had heavily researched the cast back when we were doing News from the Noose, and I knew for a fact that wasn't the guy playing Ben. But I was just like, oh, okay, this is Ben.
Yeah,
like, my mind just accepted that.
this movie has some great setups that just kind of flip on you. That are really well done. I was a big fan of everyone they picked cast wise to play the adults. Let's be honest, Bill Hader stole the fucking show.
Dude, so Bill Hader is one of my favorite actors ever. He's one of my favorite SNL cast members ever, and I just love pretty much everything he's in. And he's a really good actor. There's a drama or a dark comedy, however you want to categorize it, that he did with Kristen Wiig called The Skeleton Twins, about two depressed siblings. And that movie is just so powerful, and his acting is so good in it.
Yes, please put Bill Hader in more stuff. We need it. Oh, and then James McAvoy playing Bill.
Man, he wears out everything he's in, though.
And you know what? In this movie, there was a part of me that at first was like, wow, I'm not really blown away by his performance. It's really good, but it's not blowing me out. And then the more I thought about it, now I was just like, Jesus, man, his performance was so fucking good. And it's
the longer he was Bill, the better it got. Like once he started getting back to Derry and all the old mannerisms started to return, that's when I think his performance really started to stand out.
Yes, for sure. Was it Jessica Chastain playing Beverly?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
She did a great job. That was really cool. I really like how they kept up the cigarette smoking thing. I will say that she kept talking about how they have the bloodiest scene ever in this movie, and it's just that bathroom blood scene. And I was just kind of like, you oversold it. You oversold it greatly. It was cool, but it was no.
Well, see, this is the problem with claims like that, because obviously I haven't looked at the technicalities of it, but if they use more fake blood than Dead Alive or Evil Dead Remake, which I think hold the top two spots, then technically it is the bloodiest scene in a movie ever. But it wasn't like, it was a pool of blood. It wasn't anything crazy like raining blood, like actual physical blood from a rain machine like Evil Dead. So yeah, that's I hate when movies make claims like that, because it hypes people up and then they're just disappointed with the payoff.
Oh hell, I watched this movie one time called The Hills Run Red, and it fucking they dumped like 3 fucking barrels of fake blood down the hill for that movie.
Yeah,
you know, it's I thought it was a cool scene too, but I wasn't like blown away by it.
Yeah, the redone version of the China restaurant, the Jade of the Orient, that scene was so fucking good. From start to finish, it was so
Those
funny.
fortune cookie monsters freaked me the fuck out.
Oh my god,
the
yes.
little baby maggot thing, whatever that was supposed to be. Oh man, that was fucking creepy. I feel like, again, I don't have anything but my own opinions to go on, because I don't know anything about the book, but I feel like some of the things that Pennywise did in this movie were way more like demonic and torturing than what we got to see in the first movie.
Yeah, I gotta say, I love the extra use of Pennywise in this movie. I really fucking dug it. And speaking of that, the Beverly and the old lady, oh my god, that was so fucking creepy.
I loved it. That old lady was great. And what she looked like at the end, the monster. Have you seen that? It's a meme now, but it's basically a digital artist's artwork that got turned into a meme, where it's a monster that looks very similar to the old lady holding a guy, and then like the meme usually says, "This is you and your friend. Do you try and help him or run?" Have you guys seen that?
I think so.
So that it reminded me of that in motion, and I was like, "Oh, that's fucking good."
Yeah, it was. Oh my god, it was so good. It was like a female, like a woman version, if it was built in like that Annihilator creature from Spawn.
Right.
Yeah, it was. Oh my god, but before she turned into that, it was just so creepy. Her doing the standing there, or the head peeks out, or you notice she's naked. It was just
my favorite part is when she just like pauses when she's talking.
Oh yeah, she says that really creepy thing about people don't die in Derry.
Yeah, and then just stops, like pauses right in the middle of it, and Bev is just staring at her, and then comes right back in like nothing ever happened. I was like, I mean, because that was in the teaser trailer or the trailer that let out the footage or whatever. But I was just like, that's just fucked up. And
yeah.
I mean, and the whole time I was watching that whole scene where you see her poke out and all the rest of that. The whole time I was watching that whole scene, man, it was giving me the fucking wheelies. I was just like, ugh.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, I gotta talk about. So I love Richie's characters in the movie. His flashback where he goes into the arcade and he's playing the original Street Fighter, which bravo for playing that piece of shit. Against that kid who turns out to be Henry Bauer's cousin.
Yeah.
And the kid's like, hell yeah, man, you're so cool. And then Henry shows up And he's like, oh no, I'm not hanging out with this gay dude. And Henry's like, oh, what are you trying to ask him out on a date? That's like the stuff in this movie that deals with homosexuality like hits really hard. Even in that scene where it's way more subtle because you don't actually know Richie's gay at this scene.
Right.
Because in this, because like he reminds me of me when I was a kid. I was skinny. I was kind of like that skinny nerd who people constantly think is gay and gets called gay and kind of has some slight feminine tendencies, blah, blah, blah. Like,
and you're just looking for somebody else that you want to hang out with because either your rest of your buddies are being dicks or you're just looking for somebody to chill with.
Yeah, like that kid is me. I was not obviously not as funny as Richie, but that kid is me. And so that scene really hit me hard. And then he goes to the courtyard or wherever it is where the big statue is and it comes to life. And then Pennywise comes in and he's like, I know your dirty little secret. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what the fuck's his dirty little secret? And I was like,
I had it right from the rip. I had it right off. I was just fucking way.
Like, as soon as Pennywise said, I know your dirty little secret?
He was like, I get it.
No, I saw it because I knew it because of the way he reacted to what Henry Bowers was saying in the movie theater.
Like, it took me a second to get it. Like, I got it by the end of that scene where I was like, is he gay? I think he's gay. Is that what this is?
Yep. I had it right then because it makes
handshake.
Sense. Yeah, it makes
the lingering handshake is what did it for me.
And it's like, it makes sense though. I mean, think about it. You know, once all that came together, I was just like, oh yeah. Because right before he walked out of the movie theater, I was like, he's gay. I was like, that's cool. And then I was sitting there and I'm thinking about it and I'm like, well, the scene itself sucks and what he had to go through, but how they changed his character to be gay, I thought was really cool. And then I was like, that whole thing, I was like, well, that makes sense. That makes sense of the penis jokes and the trash talking and not being a virgin and fucking everybody else's mom and all that shit. Everything came around full circle.
Oh, 100%. Because now when because I want to rewatch the first one, I'm going to sit there and be like, you know what? We all know that guy that constantly talks about dicks and constantly talks about fucking chicks when he's not fucking chicks at all. And because he's overcompensating so people won't know that he's gay because he's still at a very young age and he's uncomfortable with it. And, you know, especially like, you know, kids in the 80s and 90s, it was a lot harder to come out for that. I mean, it's still hard nowadays, don't get me wrong. But there is a more open and accepting community compared to, you know, pre-90s.
Right.
But yeah, I did not know until Pennywise said dirty little secret. I didn't get it until then because before then I was just like, yeah, he's me. Like, fucking everyone thought I was gay. You know, like, Kenneth, you're from the South. Whenever someone describes a male kid as tender-hearted, it's their nice way of saying he's gay.
Right.
And everyone used to say I was so tender-hearted.
Is that like when they say bless your heart and they really mean go fuck yourself?
Yes, it is what it is, the nice way of saying it, and it's very big in the South. And like, you know, if you're in the South and someone goes, oh, that boy is so tender-hearted, they're saying he's gay.
Wow.
And I got called that greatly, like, and a lot of people in my family thought I was grow up to be gay. It was a big thing for me. Like, I went through most of my life being called gay, people thinking I was gay. I got a lot of the gay slurs.
Making out with me on my birthday
ended up
probably
becoming bisexual.
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, I don't really talk about it publicly, but like that, like I've had a gay experience and I'm not gay. Like it's,
no, I know,
it's not.
I'm just fucking with you.
I wish I was gay.
Like I said, I'm pretty sure that making out with me on my birthday didn't help.
Yeah, I kept making out with guys all the time, and people were like, "Jerry, I think you're gay," and I'm like, "No, I'm just making out with him." To you know, be extreme and be funny and all this shit. And
yeah, it's a joke.
It was a good birthday present.
The problem with making out with Kenneth on his birthday is him and I were the only people in the apartment, so it's not like I was doing it to get a rise out of people.
Exactly. It was a good birthday present.
Yeah, so it was just one of those fucking weird things. Yeah, I'm just weird. I'm just weird like that. I don't know what was, especially back then. Like, I'm much more calmer and tamer now. But back then, I would just do shit like that. I would just randomly do some kind of like uncontrollable thing, you know, just kind of like how Richie would just say some, you know, he would just burst out with some, fucking joke. I was the same
Eddie's
fucking
mom's
way.
underwear.
Yeah, exactly. How do you
Paul
know
Bunyan-
what it smells like?
Yeah, the Paul Bunyan thing, that was straight out of the book too. I was hoping for that.
I liked it a lot.
And
Yeah.
it worked out exactly the same way. Now I can't remember whether it was Richie or Stan that saw the Paul Bunyan character in the book. I can't remember, but I do remember specifically that Paul Bunyan talked to whoever it was right before he was about to kill him, but whatever the character wasn't paying attention or something, or I can't remember exactly, but he turns around and fucking Paul Bunyan's face is right in his face.
Oh man! Oh, speaking of Stan, great suicide, great ending note. That was fucking awesome.
That made me cry.
But let's talk about, for the second time this year, we have a reference in a giant Hollywood movie to John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yep.
And the same exact fucking line, like, because in Godzilla, not really a spoiler, but in Godzilla King of the Monsters, they call one of the camps the same camp number as The Thing, and O'Shea Jackson in that movie also says the line that, is said in this movie, like, are you fucking kidding me? And it's said in this movie too. In this one, they even go further with Stanley's head becoming like the spider head from The Thing.
Oh yeah. I was like, the whole time that was happening, I was like, yep, homage right there.
Yeah, that was
I
fucking
loved that.
wonderful. I loved how they did Stan's character in this movie. I loved his flashback. I not the them wearing fucking shower caps in the fucking clubhouse, but him giving his speech from the Torah and being like, fuck all of y'all.
Yep, that was great.
I'm not like y'all. And the fact that Richie was there, I thought maybe Stan was going to have some kind of gay thing. Like, they kept doing a lot of things where it's like, it was Richie into Stan or Eddie? Both? Like, but it turns out he was into Eddie. Which, to be fair, Eddie was a better looking boy.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just really funny.
Kind of makes me wonder if Stan knew.
It does kind of make me wonder if Stan knew. That actually is a very good point.
Yeah, because I think damn, Eddie was Richie's love interest, but I think Stan was actually his best friend.
Yes, I agree with you completely.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What have we not talked about yet for this movie?
Oh, you know what? A little tidbit I found out via meme. The pattern on that little kid's skateboard is the carpeting from The Shining.
Oh, multiple Shining references in here. Even the blood in the bath stall scene has a
Here's
Kubrick,
Johnny.
Here's Johnny
Yeah.
from
Yep.
Jack Nicholson. That was pretty dope. Oh man, the fucking guilt trip for Bill in this movie.
Oh,
And him dealing with the fact that he feels guilty for what we don't know in the first movie is he was faking sick because he just didn't want to play with his brother. Which, if you have if you have another sibling, like, faking sick to try to get out of playing with him is a very real thing. And then him feeling so guilty for it and him coming out of it was just, oh my god, that was
a powerful
so
scene
good.
when he finally forgave himself.
Yep.
I loved it.
Yes, oh my god. And the kid with the skateboard, him dying in front of Bill in the House of Mirrors was, oh my god, that was great.
So,
that whole kid was great. I love seeing him early in there with Richie. That was just hilarious. And then for him to come back and you find out he's living in Bill's house and Bill has his reaction with him in the road and all that shit, it is just like, holy fuck.
So speaking of that, I did ask Heather earlier if she wanted to be on the show, but it's too late for her. But she said, I have a couple questions maybe you guys can answer on the show. And one of them was about the little boy. She said, the little boy was killed in the fun house. Why was there no follow-up to that? Like, shouldn't people at the fair at least started to freak out a bit? There was a bloodbath. Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but I felt like that scene was put in to torture Bill with another death that he couldn't have prevent, but I felt like there could have been more done with it. I said, well, if the blood was probably Pennywise fucking with Bill, and he probably just ate the kid and made him disappear like all the other kids that are missing. So they just probably didn't realize he was missing yet.
And even
was
if
my
not,
answer.
there is an actual explanation from the book that I remember Kenneth telling me about, where in Derry, a lot of this shit gets ignored because the evil of Pennywise is corrupting people, and you see people ignoring people get beat up and all this stuff. Like the whole gay dudes getting beat up in the beginning, like there is a sense that no one is going to come help them because no one in Derry cares. Like there's many scenes of like people turning away and ignoring stuff.
Right. Yeah, that's a good
in
explanation
Derry.
too.
So that would be because I had the same question because I'm one of those guys that go, well, in the real world, like how is that explained? Like, where are the cops and all this shit?
Yeah, in the first movie, you actually get a specific example of it. Is when Henry
Ben's
Bowers,
beating up Ben.
Yeah, when Ben's getting cut up and the adults drive by with the balloon in the back, and they don't even pay it any mind, and that's just because that's the evil of Derry. And it happens more frequently than that. They're actually in the book right after the guy gets thrown over the bridge. There's a long thing about when they're questioning him and whatever else, and he admits to doing it and shit. There's a long thing about that, but I think one of the scenes that we're forgetting to talk about is when Bev's head was on fire as a kid.
Oh yeah, I
That
felt
was
so
fucking
bad for
awesome.
Ben.
Oh my
That
god!
poor
I
kid.
love
I've
that.
been Ben. I've been the fat kid in love with the attractive chick whose feelings will never be returned. I've been him. So to have her like be his friend and then make fun of him, yeah, obviously it was Pennywise, but to just have to watch that was heartbreaking for me.
But that's kind of funny. Okay, hold up.
Nerds have been through that.
You definitely would be the Ben J. You definitely have like that. I definitely got the Richie going on with the whole gay thing. Kenneth, is there any character in here, even if we've already claimed it, that you feel kind of attached to because you went through something similar as a kid that they did?
Honestly, when it really comes down to it, there are aspects of every single one that I can relate to. You know, like I have been in the same position as like Jay. I have been in that position before. I've also been made fun of because of things that were different. I've also done things when I was a kid that I regret doing now. You know, so on and so forth. So I've got aspects of every single one of them that I relate to, and I think that's one of the reasons why I enjoy all the characters. You know, and then have the same thing with having the change as you're growing older and stuff like that. I mean, I think that's the reason why this is such an enjoyable, like even reading the book and stuff like that, is because that's one good thing that Stephen King does is it's really relatable to a lot of us growing up. If you weren't, you know, the kid that had a silver spoon in your mouth, so to speak, and hell, even kids that have silver spoons in their mouths are fucking goddamn go through their own bullshit. So I think that's one of the biggest things is that, you know, fortunately, I guess for you guys, is y'all have specific characters that y'all can relate to. I can relate to aspects of every single one of them.
Yeah,
like hardcore.
And when it comes to Bev, I love how in this movie they still don't go over the line of strictly saying her dad probably fucked her. I
think they made it a little bit more clear in this one.
With the whole cologne and smelling thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they made it much more clear, but they still didn't go that line.
Right.
Which is really, really good. I really do like that. They didn't go that line.
See, I like what they did with it, but at the same time, you know, I kind of was a little upset that her mom wasn't there because, damn, you know, like the thing about it is in the book, her mom had suspicions of the way that her dad was, but nothing ever happened other than the physical abuse, like not the sexual abuse, but the physical abuse, like her dad being overbearing, worrying about her all the time, you know, basically being an overbearing father. But he wasn't directly, he didn't molest her in the book as far as I remember. But the one thing that I do remember is I can't remember exactly how it went, but something happened, and then he ended up going and fucking his wife. And if I'm not mistaken, the mom asked her about it the next day, like was he in there talking to her or something like that or whatever. So the mom kind of realized that those tendencies were there, but it really wasn't as extreme focused upon as it is in the movie. But the character's mom was very predominant in it, you know, in the book. And that's one of the things that you're missing from the 90s one too, is Bev's mom wasn't there in the 90s one either.
Yeah, they definitely took her completely the fuck out. And I remember you telling me that part from the book in the last movie when we were talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
When I have a relighted interest in trying to do the book again, though I might try to do the audiobook this time. Just because now at work I have actual like 3 hours three and a half hours where I do not have to talk to anyone. There's no members. There's none of that shit. And I could kill like at least 2 hours of an audiobook every night.
I'm not gonna sit here and say, man, that it's not it's not an excursion to get through. But, you know, and it's not because it's boring or anything. It's just it's so fucking long.
Yeah, well, I mean,
the audiobook's like 46 hours long.
Yeah, well, I did 3 Game of Thrones books audiobook wise, and each one of them were in the 40-hour marks.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
so
it's just like
I can do it.
Yeah, I ended up listening. The first time I ended up listening to it was on my way back and forth to fucking Florida when I was living down there going to school for motorcycles, because I would do fucking 7 hours down. You know what I'm saying? Or 7 hours up to come up and see the family and stuff like that, and then 7 hours back. So that was the first time that I got through it, because I ended up doing that, and then little bits and pieces here and there when I could, but I ended up finishing it on the back and forth trips. But yeah, man, I mean, it's one to definitely get through. You know what I'm saying? But it's worth it, because what you're missing out on is a lot of the little side stories. You're missing out on, why Betty Ripsom was fucking more predominant. You're missing out on why you're missing out on the little stories about Patrick Hockstetter, or the differences between not the differences, but the add-on, the extras that come with the story about the guys on the bridge, and why at the end of the movie, when you see Mike close the book, the history of Derry, and I can't remember the dude's name that's there, but why that is significant.
And you're missing the child gangbang.
Yeah, well, that too. But you're when you in the book, you're missing out on a whole lot of these things. Like there's a whole story, a whole section in the book about this kid that is upset with the fact that his parents had a second kid, had him a little brother, and the kid's upset because he doesn't have their attention anymore. And I'm gonna leave the rest of it out, but
he offers it to the Goblin King.
Something like that. Something like that with a pillow. But
he wrote Goblin King on the pillow.
Yeah, I mean, things like that. And when you listen to it or read it, that actually that's one of those fucked up things. You know what I'm saying? And there's other ones in there. Like, if I can't remember exactly whether it was Patrick Hockstetter, it may have been, but I think it was how Patrick Hockstetter actually went out in the book, which is fucked up.
Okay. So, did Heather have any other questions?
No, she asked, she said it wasn't really a question, more like a statement, but she said that somehow in the story that the Losers Club should have found out about the little girl that Pennywise ate to help motivate them, but I didn't feel like they needed any more motivation to go stop Pennywise than saving their own lives, really.
It did feel like it was like, why isn't this connected to the story? But at the same time, like, that's why it's showing you that Pennywise is not just targeting them specifically. It's reminding you that, hey, this story is not just about the kids. It's about Pennywise. It's about what Pennywise is doing, which is very important, because we have 2 big things we have left to talk about, which is, of course, the spider finale. But before we get to that, I really want to talk about the... when we kind of learn about the old lady talking about the guy who opens the circus, and we actually get to see Pennywise like before clown makeup. like the whole where we get to see Bill Skarsgård without the makeup in that scene.
Right.
Now, Kenneth, is that anything like in the book or anything?
I want to say that, okay, I can remember from the book, I can remember that whole segment where Bev goes in there, talks to the old lady, Kirsch, Marsh, the whole nine. I can remember that whole segment. And I can remember exactly like the way she talked when she said, instead of saying father, I don't know whether you noticed it when you were watching the movie, but a little bit later, after when she starts walking off into the kitchen or whatever, she doesn't say father, she says my father. And like with a D in the middle of it, with two D's in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was specific from the book. That's exactly the way it was written out in the book. And if I'm not mistaken, I want to say that Pennywise was her dad.
But
Wow.
Pennywise is millions of years old.
Right. But I want to say, but you got to
Like
think
he took
about.
a vacation from eating kids to father a child.
I don't know, but I want to say that actually was it. But it could be a
Oh,
whole.
wait. Sorry, let me clarify. Do you mean that Pennywise was her actual father, or that the whole thing was made up and the picture was of Pennywise as her father?
Yeah, I think that's where I was actually going. Is because
Okay, my bad. Sorry, I cut you off, and I just.
Right. That's what I want to say. I want to say it was the whole thing was part of the illusion, because her talking about her father related to Bev talking about her dad, and then, you know what I'm saying, it's a way to bring even more fear into it by putting Pennywise in there with it. I want to say that's how it went, but I can't remember exactly. I'm probably going to end up listening to it again now after this.
It also makes you feel like Pennywise is in the real world, making it almost seem like, oh yeah, Pennywise was this guy who was really real and ran all this stuff. But in reality, if anything, it would be Pennywise, like it's Deadlights taking over this person and making this person do stuff, and basically the Deadlights deciding, oh, this is exactly what I want my persona to be. Because I talked about in the first movie how I felt like you really feel like there's a puppetry to Pennywise, and you see it in this movie also. It's one of the things I really like, that you kind of realize that the Deadlights puppetry a certain thing, and it feels like the Deadlights have more of a personality when you think of it as it took this person who was in real life, took over it, and now uses it in there, made this person be kind of bad. And linking it to Bev and her father, and Bev's father being kind of bad, just brings it into the real world, which is scarier than the whole, it came from an asteroid, came down a long time ago, and it's 3 balls of light.
Yeah, see, I want to say that if I'm not mistaken, I really want to say that Pennywise the dancing clown was there. Like not just, the fearful figment, like when we see in the first movie at the end of it where the wooden trailer thing is, it says Pennywise the dancing clown. I want to say that was actually out there during the 1800s or whatever, when circuses were traveling around or carnivals were traveling around. I honestly want to say that Pennywise was actually out there, and he is part of Derry's history. I want to say that he was actually there.
It seems like the Deadlights took over a living persona in the real world to make it easier to strike fear in the real world.
Right. And see, there are things that happen in the book that where people say they saw a glimpse. Like there's in the book, Mike's whole backstory comes from his dad going to this club and it catching fire because KKK people came out there and fucking set it on fire. And damn, at some point in time when people are trying to get away or whatever, somebody says they saw a clown. And there's another instance where there's these Bonnie and Clyde type, bank robbers or whatever. They end up coming through Derry, and the Derry people take it upon themselves to bring these people down, and they end up shooting them in the middle of the street or whatever. And at that instance, somebody said that they saw a clown in the background while everybody was shooting. It was like a clown that was shooting a gun at the car.
Yeah, and that actually happened a lot in back in those days, is when these bank robbers would hit banks. It was the townspeople who would come out with guns because it was legit their money.
Right, exactly. So, and like I said, this was during like that Bonnie and Clyde type era, you know what I'm saying? So they came into the town in their car. I can't remember what car it was. They came into their town in their car, and they ended up going to the hardware store, and they ended up fucking ordering like ammo and shit like that. And the guy at the hardware store acted like he didn't know who it was. And then after they left, he said, "Okay, I'm gonna have to order this stuff. It'll be in on such and such day." It was a couple of days or whatever. And they said, "Okay, well, we'll wait." And they ended up staying in the town. Well, as they were waiting on the ammo and everything to come, the guy from the hardware store was getting everybody together to attack these people when they came to pick up all their shit.
Wow, that's fucking crazy. Yeah,
Right.
there's a lot of that. So let's talk about the end of the movie. Let's talk about like the representation of the Deadlights and how they changed the spider from the 90s movie into the clown spider we got in this one. I personally really liked the Deadlights in this one. I liked the 3 orbs swimming around. And I really liked the its spider, and I also liked them, like, even though it's kind of cliche, the taking the power away from the monster. They did it in kind of a clever way, even though it was a bit cliche, but it is a Stephen King based thing, so I wasn't going in expecting this great ending. I thought it was okay for what it was. Like, Kenneth, how did you feel about the Deadlights, its spider, and how this movie ends?
At this point, I was so into the movie that I really couldn't, like, my comparing it to the source material had stopped at this point.
Oh,
Because
completely. When the movie was done, I didn't think and go, man, that ending was just mediocre. I was like, fuck yes, this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I was totally into it at that point. I was invested. I wasn't paying attention to nothing else. I mean, we were just sitting there watching the movie, man, like engulfed in it. I was like, holy fuck, because there was so much shit going on, and I really enjoyed it. I like how they made it look. You know what I'm saying? I liked the spider thing. And again, going back to something that I said earlier, I really like the fact that Pennywise was not childlike, barely any at all in this one, like he was in the first one.
He was cartoonish at some points, but it definitely felt like a clown cartoonish.
Yeah, he was fucking vicious in this one, and I really like 27 years later, I'm fucking pissed off, versus 27 years prior, where he's still like the whole. I'm keeping up appearances for the clown thing and trying to get these kids and stuff like that. No, 27 years later, that whole 27 years, he was thinking about the fact, okay, I have my fucking agenda. I'm gonna get these motherfuckers, and I really enjoyed that. But overall, I thought the whole thing, the whole ending of it was really good, because I liked how they combined, things about each one of them into it. Like Bill going back, jumping into the water and coming back up, and he was in the basement of his house. I really like the fact of how Richie and Eddie were back at the if I'm gonna say, yeah, it was Richie and Eddie. How Richie and Eddie were back at the 3 doors. You know what I'm saying? The scary.
Yeah,
I really like
dog.
that. Yeah, I really like that. I thought that was really good. I liked how they played on the fears of Ben and Bev, and I liked the fact of how they kind of came together for that whole segment. I really like that. So everything all together, I like the way they put it together really well. I also like the incorporation of the Deadlights being like their own character, like what you were talking about, outside of Pennywise. I thought that was pretty cool. So overall, I really, really dug it. I like the end of it, actually. And I also like the fact of, them pulling out his heart and him looking up at it, and you can just see the fucking, what this fucking ancient goddamn life force just slipping away, so you can almost see the fear of the fact that he was actually going to die. And I can go into this whole philosophical thing about him probably not dying, but but I like the fact of the fear of him leaving this plane of existence, rather. And you can see it in his face, but you can also see the irritation and the humiliation at the fact that, goddamn, he's this billion-year-old fucking goddamn creature, and he just got fucking, his ass handed to him by fucking, six random adults. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was really cool.
For
But
sure.
I'm the destroyer of worlds.
Yeah.
Shut up, bitch. Jay, how did you feel about the deadlights and the spider clown and how the movie ended?
I liked it. I liked it better than the spider ending from the original miniseries. It looked way better. I've seen quite a few people online anyway complain about the CG, and I just can't see it. It looks like I know what bad CG looks like. I watch Power Rangers on purpose.
Yeah, okay. Well, like I said earlier, it's a very cartoonish looking CGI, which is like my same complaint. Like if you watch Conjuring 2, oh my god, the fucking cartoonish CGI of like the Crooked Man and shit bothers the living fuck out of me. I
See,
can't
that kind of stuff doesn't bother me. It's
stand
just
it.
The imagery. It's decided what they need,
But-
and you can't do
I know,
a
it just-
giant spider monster without CG.
Well, no, you haven't let me finish it.
Sorry.
In Conjuring 2, because I said this at the beginning of the episode, in Conjuring 2, I do not like it because it looks cartoonish and it does not fit the feel of the movie. In It Chapter 2, it is that same cartoonish style of CGI, but it fucking works because it makes sense with fucking Pennywise the clown, and therefore I really fucking enjoy it in this movie.
I
That's
like
fair.
Crooked Man.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That didn't bother me in Conjuring 2, but that's another movie for another
takes
discussion.
me out of the movie, and
That's
I'm not
fair.
like an anti-CGI guy. I
No,
just
I know
felt
you're
it
not.
looked too
No,
apparently cartoonish.
my biggest complaint for any kind of digital anything in the movie was them trying to make the kids look as young as they were.
Yeah.
That was
I
my
didn't really,
biggest complaint.
I will say this: I did not notice it at all when I was watching the movie. It was only pointed out to me afterwards, so I can't really speak on that.
I knew it right off the bat.
Wait,
I was
what?
like,
What are you
They
talking
they de-aged some of the characters in the flashbacks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, and I
so
If
knew
they
it
were
right off
smart,
the
they
bat.
would have just filmed those scenes at the same time as the first movie.
Well, the second movie did not get greenlit until the first weekend premiere of the first movie.
Now, see, that feels like a bad idea all in and of itself.
Well, I mean, if you
How do
really
you not
think,
greenlight a two-part movie at the same time?
but if you really think about it, even if the first one hadn't done well in the box office, it still could have been a standalone movie.
I suppose, but then everybody in the world, well, not everybody in the world, most people in the horror world are going to be like, hey, where's the second half of the story?
Yeah, well, they do shit like that all the time. I mean, so I would. It could be set up as a standalone movie. It would have sucked, but it could have been set up as a standalone movie. But damn, that first weekend, and hell, at this current moment, it didn't make as much money, nearly as much, but it still did pretty goddamn well for the first weekend.
Oh, fuck yeah. Like, I didn't, I did not expect this movie, I don't expect this movie to do as well as the first one. I don't.
No.
Because it doesn't have the Goonies feel to it. The
Nope.
first one popped because when a movie comes out that has the same feel as the Goonies when it comes to kids and nostalgia, us adults eat that shit up. We do.
Right.
We
Right.
do as kids and we do as adults. So something like the Goonies or Stand By Me or The Outsiders, you just fucking just eat it up and you love it, and it's something that hits on us. And I didn't expect this one to quite do the same thing. And that's also why I feel like there's so many flashbacks in this movie, was to kind of keep that crowd in there. I do think there was some foresight in there because you got to admit, there are a lot of fucking flashbacks in this movie. I don't think that's a negative. I have no problem with it. I love those kids and I enjoy seeing the shit out of them. It's great, but there's like a good 25% of the movie, if you broke it down, is all flashback.
Yeah,
You know
there's
what I
supposed to be.
love? I would love a new edit that edits all those flashbacks into the original movie just to see how it would flow together.
Oh yeah, just combine the two movies together and make it to where all the flashbacks take place back there, so you see it in the real world.
Yeah, I might do that when a nice digital copy is available for the second part. I might actually take the time to edit it together, and then I'll just upload it for you guys to check out.
That'd be cool.
That's gonna be a beast of a fucking edit.
Yeah, it would be, but it would be so cool at the end.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Okay.
I actually
Go
like
viral.
I actually like the flashbacks. I really did because again, you know, it was real close to the source material. That's the way it was in the book.
Yeah, I do say like I said, I like the flashbacks. I do feel like they take away from the adult characters and their growth. And I feel like that's why we didn't get my biggest complaint on the movie, which is Richie coming out to his friends as gay. I feel like we didn't get that because they wanted to do it in flashback and not in current. So it took away time that should have been there for him to do that. It definitely takes away. And I think that's also why the love triangle gets sidelined a bit, all that shit. The Native American story part of this whole thing I thought was meh. Like, I agree with Kenneth that the ritual of Chud, not that impressive in this movie. And I agree with him that I do not like what they've done to Mike in both of these movies.
Yeah, they kind of sidelined him, and it.
But sad. Even in the sense that I had the thought, and I honestly didn't know if I was going to put this thought out there. But I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to say I don't mean to be offensive to anyone, so please don't take it that way, because I'm going to use some kind of offensive words here. In the 90s miniseries, they say nigger a lot. They kind of do that, but in both these two new ones, chapter 1 and chapter 2, they do not say it at all, but they say faggot a lot. They do. And part of that makes me kind of go, wow, not only did they sideline Mike's character, but they toned down the racism a lot. And I don't know if it's a political move because the current climate. Hold on, let me finish the statement. The current climate right now is not only is racism like a huge fucking thing with the police, but also in the current climate, you have when you move it from the 50s to the 80s, you're also having a big jump in the 50s. You had more civil rights issues, as to where in the 80s you have more issues with homosexuality and their civil rights movement. And the same way with currently today, because we still have a lot of people that cannot come out publicly as being gay, and gays are fighting very much to get their rights. So, like, I don't like my statement that I don't know if they did this because of a politically correct thing is accurate as much as it is a correct update that wanted to focus more on our fight now with homosexuality, especially when it comes to the 80s. Kenneth, go ahead.
You pretty much you said what I was going to say.
Okay.
Because that's exactly what I was gonna. That's where I was gonna come in with it. Because I think the shift was a product of the time. I think because exactly like what you said, the 50s you had more civil rights type shit. In the 80s you had more stuff about how people were coming out as being gay, the AIDS thing, all the rest of that shit that was going on in the 80s. So I think that's what it was. I think that was the shift. Although, damn, the thing with the guys on the bridge. That was a little that took place, if I'm not mistaken, that took place in present time.
Yes, in this movie, that the attack on the bridge is in 2019. That is in present time, 100%. Right.
Exactly. So I'm not exactly sure on that because I'm not going to say that shit like that doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure that it probably does.
100% it happens
all the time.
Right, but you know what I'm saying? It's not one of those things that is I'm going to say, and I fucking, it sucks that it's this way, but it's not focused on in social media and in the news and stuff like that as is other things of today. And so that's the only one where I was kind of like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, but I'm glad that it was put in there because, like I said, it was directly from the book, but I'm also glad that it wasn't left out.
It is directly from the book, but to me, it felt like it was such a important moment in this movie specifically because it kind of primes you for why Richie stays closeted. It has a great effect later on in the movie when you think about Richie, and that plays out so wonderful in this movie, and it's kind of funny because if I had not known about this scene in the book, and it was made completely for the movie and Richie's gay character, it would make completely sense. So it's kind of funny to me that it is in the original book.
Yeah, there's actually more than one thing I think that is surrounded around homosexuality in the book. There's actually a few things that are in there.
I'm sure it is, especially when you're dealing with young boys, because we're all young boys. We can tell you homosexuality is fucking rampant at growing up as a child, and I don't mean necessarily like being gay, but like you're constantly referring to things as gay. You're learning stuff about your body. You're constantly making fun of other people for being gay. Like it's a very vicious thing in boyhood, and it kind of makes you understand why so many boys stay closeted. Because Kenneth can tell you, even as a teenager, I used the word faggot like punctuation. I was very, very bad about overusing that. Kenneth even told me I overused it. And I finally, in my head, I was like, oh, well, I can use it. I've been called it my whole life. And even though I have been treated like a gay man a lot in my life, I have not been treated as bad as they are treated because I'm not actually gay. I did take hits for it, but nowhere near as bad as they did. I like nowhere near as bad as like if you watch one of my favorite movies of all time, Pump Up the Volume, with Christian Slater. There's a scene where a gay kid comes in and calls in and talks to Christian Slater about him being gay and what these kids did to him when they trick him into coming there because he liked the guy, and they take his clothes and beat the shit out of him. Like that never happened to me because I never went to hide my homosexuality for someone, and that's something that Richie clearly deals with in a town that you will get the shit beat out of you for being gay. Even in this current age of 2019, we open with a scene of someone getting the shit beat out of them and fucking thrown off a bridge because they are gay in 2019, and that it's ridiculous that's happening. And Pennywise, he loves it because he works on fear, and it made it extra fucking tasty when you bite into it. But the fact that they did do the subtle homosexuality in this movie with Richie is really good. I wish it wasn't as subtle. I wish it, at least at the end, he would have came out to his friends in the when they're all bathing in the what's the proper word for that water?
Quarry water.
Quarry. When they're there and he's bawling his fucking eyes out way harder than everybody else. He should have said something.
Yeah, like I loved him, or I don't know, something.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it would have given more power to what was going on. You know what I'm saying? So, but again, going back to it, man, I really dig all the changes. I mean, this is one of those where, it doesn't happen very often when I watch movies that are transferred from a book that I really enjoy the changes, and the changes to the second half. I've got my few complaints, but for the most part, I really love this movie.
Yeah. And the changing of Eddie so that Eddie actually dies in this movie was great. He is the character that needed to die because he is, while not a main character, because let's all agree, Bill, Richie, and I keep wanting to say Betty. It's not Betty. Bev. They're the three strongest main characters. They can't die, but Eddie is right behind them, and he's stronger than Ben, and he's stronger than Mike. He's the one that has to die to make it feel important for us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Eddie dies in every medium. He died in the 90s miniseries, and he died in the book. It didn't
really have an effect in the 90s miniseries, to be honest with you.
I think, in my opinion, it did. I mean, to me, I thought it was just as sad. You know what I'm saying? That he died in that one. So I mean,
guess it's more. It feels more important here because of the tie-in with Richie.
Right. I mean, but that's actually what in the 90s miniseries. That's what sparked them on to let's go kill this fucking clown kind of thing. In the 90s one was the fact that Eddie died. Yeah. So I really enjoyed it though. Overall, I thought it was a great movie. I was not disappointed when I left the theater. It was worth my money. And the cool thing about it is when I saw it, we were the only two people in there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's the best.
Hell, when we went to the old theater, and when we went in there, I only saw like us and I think one other dude in there watching a movie.
Nice.
In the whole theater.
Jay, what's your final thoughts on this movie?
I really enjoyed it, and I want to watch it a couple more times before I decide, but I think I liked it overall better than the first one.
Agreed.
I got to do a back-to-back. I really want to, when this comes out on Blu-ray, I will buy that, and I will do a back-to-back of both movies, because I really don't know right now. I do not know.
Yeah. So I watched the first one a couple weeks ago in preparation for this one. But yeah, I'd like to watch them together, but I feel like the amount of horror was like, I feel like the Goonies side of the last movie was more than the horror side, but I feel like there was more horror in this movie than anything. And I really liked all the different transformations and all the different creepy stuff that happened. And it just felt more like Pennywise felt more maniacal in this one than he did in the first one. So I really like that. But again, I've only seen it once in the theater, so I want to rewatch it a couple times before I make my decision. But on the surface, I feel like I like this one more.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I kind of really want to do a horror coliseum with these two, just to kind of like really break it down and see which one I like more.
We should do that for the Blu-ray release.
We might do that when the Blu-ray release comes. We might do a horror coliseum on both to kind of see where we fit. We'll see what happens when it comes out. I'm guessing probably December or January. We'll see. Okay, guys. Fuck yes. Does anyone have anything that they feel that they need to say that they say left unsaid for It Chapter 2?
No, sir.
Kenneth?
I thought I don't need to watch it again. I like this one better than the first one.
Fair enough. Okay, well, guys, that is it. Thank you for checking out this bonus episode. It is a full episode because we all three here, and it's a little over an hour long, so that's fucking awesome. So thank you for joining us for this It Chapter 2 bonus review. We hope you enjoyed it. Please let us know what.
Jerry, before we go.
Yes.
One thing.
Uh-huh.
I fucked your mom.
I can't make the comment I really want to make right now. I will say it as soon as we get off. Okay. So we are out of here. Thank you everyone for joining us. Make sure you check out our wonderful episode that we just did on Horror Coliseum, Jaws 3D versus Jaws the Revenge. If you haven't checked it out, it's a really good episode. I know it sounds ridiculous, but go check it out. I also dropped Atomic Age Saucer Cast on Invisible Invaders. Please check that out. Check out Cult Unknown for all your Bigfoot need. And also dropping this week along with this episode, I'm not sure which one will come out first. They might even both come out the same fucking day. We have a new underwater kaiju from outer space that I literally recorded like 15 minutes before we recorded this review. And that's on Godzilla vs. Sea Monster. One of the funniest episodes we've ever done, especially for the Ultraman report. So go fucking check that out. I say a lot of things I shouldn't say on the internet. And we will see you next. Our next episode is not going to be a Kill the Cast episode. We are actually going back to Jerry Hates Action. And we are doing The Matrix because it's Jay's favorite movie. I say, fuck that movie. And Kenneth bought me a 4K Blu-ray of it. So we're fucking doing it. We're doing The Matrix. And then we will be back in October with your regularly scheduled Kill the Cast. Let us know. We're kind of debating on what we want to do for October. I kind of threw out 2 suggestions, but you can suggest stuff also. I kind of was like, we should do a Vincent Price movie. I really want to do Mask of the Red Death, because I think for sure I want Jay to watch more Vincent Price movies, but I also think Kenneth will have a lot to say about that one. Mm-hmm. Or even doing something fun and doing like Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island would be a lot of fun. That's been popping up a lot recently. Scooby-Doo. Okay, well, maybe we'll do Mask of the Red Death. Maybe we'll have a Vincent Price, maybe we'll do 2 Vincent Price movies in fucking, October. We'll do Mask of the Red Death, and then maybe we'll do a poll to see what the other one is that people want to do for the old school Vincent Price movies. Cause we've got great things like The Conqueror's Worm, House on Haunted Hill, Dr. Phibes, tons of fucking great stuff there. Kenneth, do you have a favorite Vincent Price old school movie?
House on Haunted Hill.
House on Haunted Hill. I'm a big fan of House of Wax 3D also.
I think House on Haunted Hill is the only one I've actually watched.
Yeah, we probably won't do House on Haunted Hill. It would probably be the 3 I would like to do. I know we're not going to record 3 episodes in October, but I would like to do House of Wax 3D, Mask of the Red Death, and The Conqueror's Worm, also aka The Witchfinder's General. But we'll do probably 2 out of the 3 of those. So that's it. Go check out all the fucking shit. Links are in the description. Facebook group, YouTube, Twitter, fucking Instagram. There's tons of stuff you can comment and talk to us on. But the biggest hub is going to be that Facebook group. So please come and join that. Links are in the description, or you can just go and type in Kill the Cast Horror Podcast and you will find us. We are fucking out. Love all you guys. Keep it creepy. We're going into October, so keep it fucking spooky. And we are the Eater of Podcast. If you enjoyed this show, then make sure you check out the other great shows on the Legion Podcast Network, like Cinema Psyops, Cinema Beef, Devour the Podcast, Duncan and Bo Come Correct, Exploding Heads Horror Movie Podcast, Friday the 13th, Get Slayed, The Hellming Power Hour, Hello, This is the Doom Show, Hero Hero Go Show, Kill the Cast, Underwater Kaiju from Outer Space, Jerry Hates Action, Legion After Dark, Mental Health, Obsessive Cinema, Discourse, Pick 6 Movies, the podcast by The Cemetery, the podcast on Haunted Hill, the Psychosemantic Podcast, Rick Radio, House of Wax, Dude Looks Like the 80s, Rabbit and Red Radio, the Shadecast, Short Bus Cinema, 2 Drink Minimum Commentaries, the VD Clinic, Who Will Survive Horror Podcast, and Witch vs. the Doomsday Clock. With such a wide spread of shows, there is guaranteed to be a niche for you to fall in love with. Horror, politics, movies, books, sex, music, commentaries, health, video games, kaiju, action, news, comedy, and opinions that would most likely get you killed in some parts of the world. We are proud to bring you some of the best podcasting in the world. Check us out at www.legionpodcast.com, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and any other dark corner of the internet where podcasts can be found.